Helping strangers cost me my girlfriend. I've been with my girlfriend Sarah for 3 years, and we've been living together for 1.5 years. She's honestly everything I've ever wanted, and I'm planning to propose to her next year. 3 weeks ago, I was with Sarah at a local bar, having drinks and a great time, as we had just come out of quarantine where I live. Around 3 a.m., we decided to head home. As we were heading to the parking lot where we had parked, we noticed a group of two girls and a guy who was clearly drunk trying to hit on them and take them to his house. The girls were clearly very uncomfortable and trying to find a way out. Sarah told me that we had to do something, and I told her to call the police and find someone else as well, because the last thing I wanted was for her to get hurt during this. So I approached the group and tried to pretend I was the boyfriend of one of the two girls, and long story short, I got my ass kicked. The guy was at least 6 feet 4 inches tall and weighed 220 pounds, while I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall and weigh 167 pounds. I'm fairly muscular, but there was no way I could have taken on someone that big. I knew it from the start. At least, with all the noise we made. A lot of people came to the scene and the girls got away safely. I was rushed to the emergency room because the son of a gun had broken my ribs, which had punctured my right lung. Great. After that incident, Sarah has grown distant from me. Even though she visited me and stayed with me at the hospital, she hasn't been the same since. And I thought she just needed time to get over this. However, 5 days ago, she told me that she's not the same person after what happened and that she doesn't know if she feels safe with me after I got beaten up like that. Honestly, hearing that hurt me more than when my ribs were broken. She has moved back to her parents' house for the time being and told me she needs time. Meanwhile, I had no one here to help me, so my brother left his 2 kids and his wife to move in with me. I know I'm just venting at this point, but I don't want this to end like this. Is there anything I can do to salvage the situation? Date. Until yesterday, it had been 14 days since my last contact with Sarah. My brother had left 4 days before because I felt bad for keeping him away from his family for so long. Plus, I could take care of myself to some extent. So, around 2 p.m. while I was preparing lunch, I heard the doorbell ring. I went to open the door, and there she was. Sarah, with tears in her eyes, dark circles, frizzy hair, looking like a total mess. During the time we've been together, I've seen her in her ups and downs, but I'd never seen her in such a horrible state before. So I let her in. She sat on the couch. We still hadn't said a word as we were both dumbfounded. I was so overwhelmed by emotions. I wanted to hug her. I wanted to unload everything on her. I didn't even know what I wanted to do. So I did nothing and waited for her to talk. After 5 or 10 minutes of silence, she starts sobbing and saying she's sorry and then full-on crying. At this point, I can barely hold myself together. So I hold her hand and try to calm her down so I can figure out what is going on. After a while, she finally somewhat calms down and starts talking. And that's where things went south. Something that I didn't include in the original post, because it wouldn't make sense anyway, is that Sarah's mother has been divorced and remarried once. From what Sarah has told me, her biological father cheated on her mother when she was still a kid, and that's why they broke up. And that's also the reason she doesn't have any kind of relationship with her father. It seemed odd when I first learned about it, but I didn't question it. However, that's not the whole story. Sarah's biological father didn't only cheat on her mother. He was a drug addict and a jerk who also abused them frequently. Without getting into too many graphic details, on one occasion when Sarah's brother tried to intervene and protect her mother, he also ended up being beaten up. So when she saw me intervening and getting beaten up in the bar incident, that triggered some kind of PTSD in her head that she couldn't control. That's why she distanced herself and eventually left. Everything spiraled out of control, and she couldn't handle it. In those 2 weeks we were apart, she barely ate or slept, and even had some very dark thoughts that I prefer not to mention. She told me she feels like a horrible girlfriend for leaving me alone in my condition, and that she doesn't expect us to be together again after that, which I told her isn't the case. So we have a very long road ahead of us. My number one priority now is for her to see a therapist, which I suggested we can do together if she's scared to do it alone. So yeah, that's where we are at. Some of you were right, there was some deeper issue behind what happened, but I couldn't have known. I also wanted to take this opportunity to address something I received many messages about. I received many comments and messages saying that I was an idiot for what I did in that parking lot, and that I should worry about my own business next time and not play the hero, etc. First of all, I didn't start the fight with the guy. As I said, when I arrived, I tried to pretend I was the boyfriend of one of the girls just in case. When that didn't work, I got between the girls and the guy trying to create some space between them. And that's when he started pushing me and eventually throwing punches. Secondly, no matter how much I go to the gym, I could never take on that guy one-on-one. As I said, I'm pretty fit, and I've been working out for several years, but the guy was much bigger than me. Unless I had a gun or something, which isn't legal in my country, I was doomed. Finally, for the people telling me to mind my own business, well, let me tell you that that's exactly what I was doing. It's my responsibility and everyone else's to take care of those who can't protect themselves in this crappy world. No, I don't consider myself a hero, nor did I do it to show off. I did it because in some other instance, one of those girls could have been my girlfriend, sister, mother needing help, and those girls were somebody else's girlfriend, sister, or mother. If I were put in that situation 100 times over, I would act the same. Edit. I also talked to her about the proposal I wanted to make this year. I was planning on doing it as a surprise, but given how things have turned out, I thought it would be better if she knows it first. We both agreed it should be postponed for now. Top comments. First comment. You did well, dude. You did really well, both in intervening for those girls and in what you are doing now with your girlfriend. Not every argument can be won with fists, and not every battle you fight you are going to win. But doing the right thing is when you truly start winning, and even if you might think you lost a fight, you should understand and be happy with the fact that you won anyway. You stood up for what was right. And that's a win in my book. If everyone did as the detractors say and minded their own business, well, that would only make the world a darker place. Unless people like you stand up, even at the risk of losing, things simply deteriorate slowly. You and I, and others here, know that this is not the world we wish to live in. So work on this with your girlfriend, do the therapy, and keep talking about things. You'll both get to a much better place. And live a long and happy life, and never be afraid to do what is right.
Second comment. I think it's terrible that people are telling you to mind your own business. You did a good thing, and I think standing up for someone, regardless of their gender, race, etc., when they're clearly being intimidated is noble, even if it's someone obviously bigger than you. You potentially saved them from being assaulted or even worse things, and although we all wish you didn't have to endure being assaulted while protecting them, you bore the brunt of that force and hostility, not something to judge lightly. About Sarah, as someone with PTSD myself, I can tell you it really throws people off when triggered, and I'm glad you're understanding and helping her. A few years ago, I dated a jerk who actively denied I even had PTSD, in addition to triggering it, and it was horrifying. You're a good man. She's lucky to have you. Third comment. I'm a woman who has been in uncomfortable situations like that countless times, and never has a man intervened for me before. You did an amazing thing, and those women must have been incredibly grateful. Good luck to you and your girlfriend in the future.